What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and it's really been a while since our last Apple News segment, huh? The truth is there's just so much information to share, and even in the last couple of days there's been so much Apple news that I wanted to share with you in this video. Some really exciting new products down the line, and I wanted to announce a giveaway I'll be doing in about a month in collaboration with Pitaka, my favorite case for the iPhone X right now. So they will be giving away 50 of their Pitaka cases as well as a grand prize of the iPhone X, and I'll get into more details of that at the end of this video, but I know you guys really wanted to give away, and it's been a while since my last one, I think in the iPhone X rumors days, so I think that's a well-deserved giveaway I'm going to be having on this channel soon, so I'm excited for that. Anyways, a lot of exciting Apple news to talk about with you. Let's get started. And I know we literally just got the iPhone X. How could I possibly be starting rumors on new Apple products? And this is sort of a mentality I never really understood. Just because Apple releases something the latest and greatest doesn't mean you stop focusing on the future. Apple will always be developing products years in advance, and it's silly to think that they'll stop at any point. You know, just because they charge $1,000 for the iPhone X doesn't mean they don't have enough money for the next one. They want more and more. Anyways, the iPhone X lineup in 2018 is going to look a little bit different. And this is coming from Ming-Chi Ko, KGI Securities. This guy's proven to be very reliable in the past. You know him well if you've been watching my videos. And he's predicting that the lineup in 2018 will look just like this. We're going to have an iPhone X, an iPhone X Plus, a 6.5-inch mammoth, matching more of the Galaxy Note 8 size, as well as a cheaper 6.1-inch model that'll feature an LCD. The interesting thing is all three of these models will actually share a very similar design, so they will all have the notch. Much like the Essential phone, man, this thing has been forgotten already almost. It will have a cutout on the top in an LCD display, which is strange but possible. As you can see, this thing has it, and until this phone was released, I didn't even know that that was possible. So the cheaper 6.1-inch model will actually feature a slightly larger display between the 5.8-inch and the 6.5-inch of next year's iPhone X model. So it's going to be an interesting lineup, but I think it certainly makes more sense than the current one that exists right now. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are losing a ton of momentum. Actually, their sales are predicted to fall 50 to 60% in early 2018 just because the iPhone X has taken away so much of the wind the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus has created, just because it's not that impressive of a product from the iPhone 7 of last year. Anyways, back to this new iPhone X, it'll actually have a higher resolution, a pixel density between 480 and 500 pixels per inch. So definitely going to be a little bit sharper, not too much. Just going to be an expanded size of the iPhone X, and the notch itself will stay the same. It wouldn't make sense for that to grow any bigger. And there's no pricing on the larger iPhone X Plus. I would imagine it would start at about $100 to $150 more than the iPhone X, but it's just too early to get into speculation. I'm just going by the rumors created by KGI right now. Anyways, the price point of the smaller 6.1-inch model would be between $700 to $750, matching the iPhone 8 entry point right now, basically. And that lineup certainly makes sense to me, I think. And although I know it is super early in the game, we just got the iPhone X, I'd like to keep you guys updated on what the analysts are talking about, even though it's, you know, far from now. But those are the new models coming up, and here are actual concepts of it by Martin Hajek. This guy's been making some great stuff for a very long time, and his latest concept is the iPhone X Plus with 6.5-inch display. It looks great. It's basically just a bigger iPhone X. I highly doubt it would have any distinguishing factors aside from the size. The camera lens will look the same. It won't be like the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. They'll have different lenses. No, they'll be exactly the same, just blown up in proportion a little. Now, I'd like to know from you guys, would you like to use an iPhone X Plus? If it was available this year, would you have ordered it? Now, one of my favorite things about the iPhone X is just how comfortable it is to hold and use with one hand. And although I do miss the slightly larger or wider display on my iPhone 8 Plus, it's not something I would switch back to it for. I definitely got used to this. The more vertical space on the display is welcome. So an iPhone X Plus sounds interesting, but who would actually buy a phone that big? I mean, maybe I would change my mind once I saw with that sharper display, but let me know down below in the description. And in the same vein, the iPad Pro X or iPad Pro X created by Martin Hajek in these super awesome renders. Now, this one is a little bit different than the other one I showed you, but the iPad Pro redesign is a sure thing. It's actually been confirmed by Bloomberg to be happening, and Apple's going to be taking a lot of design cues from the iPhone X and inserting them into the iPad Pro. highly unlikely they'll take the organic LED display. Thus, this concept that I'm showing you might not be entirely accurate, as the cutouts I don't think would be necessary on an iPad Pro of this size. There's a lot of room to place that cutout anywhere else, or just to create a border around the display. It would be a little bit thicker than what I'm showing you, but it would still look good like Vania Geskin showed in that earlier concept. But overall, it looks super sleek. It would be awesome. I wouldn't even mind a notch on the iPad Pro, but I just don't think it would be necessary. Anyways, this concept I think is super awesome, and even though the iPad Pro is a great device right now, it doesn't really need an update. This does look like a really sleek and cooler version of the one we have already. And a product that hasn't even been released yet, the HomePod, already has rumors for a generation 2. Provided by supply chain sources via Nikkei, they actually said that the new HomePod, releasing in 2018 or early 2019, will feature Face ID technology. And this is something that I just don't really see the point of. I mean, yes, maybe if you're ordering something online, if you want to ask it some personal questions, HomePod would need to verify with you, and there aren't many ways to do that via voice. It's not very secure, but Face ID, it just seems like it's not necessary on a HomePod to me personally, but they say that Apple is working on Face ID on the HomePod, and may or may not be likely at this point in time. It's not very verified. They just say supply chain sources. So whether or not it'll happen, who knows? But just the idea of it sounds ridiculous. I don't want to walk up to my speaker every single time for it to authenticate me with Face ID just to ask it a command. All right, and this is actually pretty cool. I was finally waiting for the day that it would happen, but Face ID has finally been cracked or hacked or fooled, whatever you want to call it, but they were able to bypass a user's face with a 3D model they created using various techniques. And how they did it is actually pretty interesting. So we've heard about stories like this for the Touch ID, where they would reproduce someone's fingerprint using silicon and then heat it up and use it on the sensor and it would work. This is a lot more complex. It looks a lot less human. If you actually look at the contraption, it's just set up on metal, but there are 3 key points here that they recreated that Face ID uses to authenticate and let you through into the phone. The eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And it looks freaky, but it certainly works. So they used a combination of 3D printers, 2D images even for the eyes, and a 3D sculpted, hand sculpted nose, and they combined it all into this and were able to authenticate successfully on video. Actual video is a little bit sloppy. It seems like for a second there, they actually faked it because I couldn't see the Face ID unlock animation happen on screen, but they slid it so fast that you can't really tell. I highly doubt that it's fake. Why would they go through the process to fake it unless they wanted to kill the reputation of Apple? Okay, I'm getting into deep here. Let's consider that it is true. The fact that they did it is pretty impressive. And how they did it with all that work, it took them about 5 hours, I think they said. That's a lot of time for you to spend with someone's phone just to unlock it. If a robber wants to open up your phone, they'd rather hit you over the head and force you to open your eyes and look at the phone if they really wanted to get into your photos and contacts for whatever reason. Also, the fact that you need a detailed 3D scan of someone's face for this to work makes it highly improbable this would ever be used in anything else. I mean, law enforcement might use it, just your typical run-of-the-mill robber would not. So I think that's a very interesting claim to make, that someone finally fooled Face ID, but is it practical or will be used in day-to-day usage by hackers? Definitely not. It is far too complex, but still makes a good story. All right, so it looks like there is another hardware flaw on the iPhone X. A lot of users are reporting a buzzing, crackling, hissing coming from the earpiece when playing music, taking calls, or anything speaker related. So this isn't a software issue. It seems to be prevalent everywhere where the speaker is being used. So they'll hear a hissing or crackling noise, and the louder you turn your speaker up, the louder it gets. So a lot of you guys that didn't order the iPhone X in fear of hardware issues definitely were justified. There were those green lines on the display, now this, and even some discoloring on the displays that I've heard of. So definitely is always a smart idea to wait a month or two after the release of new products for Apple to figure things out, and then of course release a revised version. But if you guys are experiencing this, it's definitely a hardware defect and you can get it replaced at Apple. And for my fans that use the YouTube application on their iPhone, I would definitely urge you today to go ahead and download the new update in the App Store. It's been acknowledged that YouTube is a huge drainer of battery on iOS 11. For whatever reason, it was unoptimized fully for iOS 11 and taking a lot of battery life up even when not watching videos, just running in the background. And it's unknown if this fully fixes the battery issue, the update today, but you should still update and keep on those updates as they come out, because YouTube officially acknowledged it is an issue and they are working to fix it. I've just had so many people ask me, what is going on? Why is my battery draining so fast? YouTube in particular, it is a known issue. And something interesting I wanted to share, there seems to be a trend of a lot of people wanting to hide their notch on the iPhone 10. So you buy this beautiful organic LED phone, but you hate the notch that Apple has implemented up top. There are a couple solutions for doing this actually. So you can actually go online and just download wallpapers that remove the notch automatically with an overlay. And I gotta say, it looks pretty good. I just don't like that it makes your screen seem smaller. I mean, if you're buying this phone, just embrace the notch. Interestingly enough, there's a new app that you can actually get from the App Store called Notch Remover, where you run a wallpaper through it and it will set an overlay on the very top to blend with the notch. And it does work. It's $1 if you guys wanted to do that. I just don't see why this is a thing, or better yet, why Apple has even allowed this app into the App Store, because their guidelines explicitly don't allow for this kind of thing to happen. You're supposed to embrace the notch, not bring attention to it, especially with an app like this. So I thought that was interesting. If you guys wanted to download that, that is available in the App Store to hide the notch. It does look pretty good. I mean, I'm running it right now just as an example, but it does blend it perfectly with the display. So it works, I guess, if you were wondering. All right, guys, and about that giveaway. So it's a very exciting one because I haven't done one in a while, and to do one this big is actually pretty exciting. I know so many people wanted me to do it. So I'm just announcing it, by the way. This isn't in this video yet. It's going to be in December as per request of the company. But Pitaka, the one that I recommended in my iPhone 10 cases videos, they've actually collaborated with me, and we will be working on giving away 50 of these cases with the magnetic charge mount inside. So let me actually show you how this works. This is part of the giveaway as well. It's a wireless charging mount for your car. Basically, you just clip it on. It is super strong with the iPhone 10. Now it's infused directly into the case, and it is so incredibly thin. I don't know what kind of magic they had to weave in order for this to work, but it works so well. I've been running it on my device. This is, I believe, a $80 value. They're giving away 50 of them. And on top of that, an iPhone 10. So this isn't me giving it away. It is them also giving away an iPhone 10 in that video. And I think that's going to be super exciting. And I'll do my own iPhone 10 giveaway as well. So wait for that. But I've got a couple giveaways coming up, guys. It's very exciting. Stay tuned in December for that one. It's definitely going to be big. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's the latest on Apple news right now. So looking forward, there's a lot of exciting Apple products coming out next year. But even at the end of this year, the HomePod, the new wireless charging case for the AirPods, as well as the mat itself. I mean, I'm really looking forward to those, as well as the iMac Pro. I think that's going to change everything for me as far as video quality goes. There's just so much I can't do right now because I'm limited by my MacBook Pro, and I mean, Apple's hardware right now just sucks for video editing unless you're getting the iMac, and I didn't want to do that because the Mac Pro is coming out and it's just this mess. So I'm really looking forward to the iMac Pro on this channel. And in general, next year, the iPhone 10 Plus sounds exciting as well, but I could care less about that. I mean, I love my 10 right now as is. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That's the latest in Apple news. Stay tuned for that giveaway and more Apple news. Peace.